And so I've always done something. I usually mix it up a lot. As far as like mixed media, I just, all through the years I've kind of dabbled in different things, right? And but
Well, I wouldn't say you dabbled. You
yeah,
experimented, right?
Yeah.
Dabbled
that
sounds like you're not taking it seriously,
right.
but
Oh
you
no,
were. And you've
Right.
right.
had many businesses with this.
Welcome to Creative Type Podcast. This is episode 18, Dealing with Overwhelm with Vicki Wilson. I'm Lori Rivera,
And I'm Jamie Haney.
and welcome to Creative Type Podcast.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hey, Vicki.
Hi. How's everybody
Hey.
So
doing today?
good. So did we say this was episode 18 already?
Yes, 18.
Okay. All right. All right. Dealing with overwhelm with our friend Vicki Wilson.
Yes, Vicki is joining us today. We have been friends with her for several years, and she brings so much joy to our lives. She's a painter. She paints a lot of animals. Lately, she's been painting a lot of florals, though, with highly textured
Yes.
parts in them. But they're highly textured, and they're just beautiful.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
And,
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, so she also teaches classes. She's been busy with that lately. She does one-on-one, but she also teaches classes as big as like 90 people.
Yeah,
I don't
like
know how
team
we don't know.
building stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right, right.
We don't know how
Keeps
she
me
does
busy.
it. Yeah. And she sells directly to her collectors, and she also sells through Inman's Picture Framing.
Mhm.
Yep. She is a
Yes.
busy,
Yes.
busy lady.
I
Busy
am a
bee.
busy. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Ladies, I am busy. Yes.
Yeah.
This year has really opened up for me. Yeah.
Right. And which is going to lead to our conversation in a little bit. But 1st we want to get to know, we want to let our listeners get to know you a little bit better, Vicki, because we know all the dirt on you.
Yeah. You do. You do.
Well, I don't know about all of it, but we know a lot, don't we?
I keep a little bit to myself.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I think we probably all keep a little bit to ourselves.
Yeah.
So Vicki, we won't dare ask you your age. We don't do that around here, but how long have you been an artist?
Well, I have been an artist actually all my life in some form or fashion, right? My first experience in art was actually when I was real young, and I loved the color red. And I took red crayons and I marked all over my pretty white curtains in my bedroom. And it didn't go over very well. It wasn't a big hit by any means.
Oh no. Now I haven't heard this story.
Yeah. That when I think back, that's something that comes to my mind, and I can laugh about it now. I wasn't laughing then, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I've always done some kind of creative work, and I've taught a lot from my home. I started out in my home, and then I taught through a small college in Illinois, and I taught art through them. Way back in the day, I taught the toll painting. Remember the toll painting?
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of where it kind of really started as far as the classes, and so I've always done something. I usually mix it up a lot. As far as like mixed media, I just, all through the years I've kind of dabbled in different things, right? And but
well, I wouldn't say you dabbled. You experimented,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Dabbled sounds like you're not taking it seriously,
Right.
but
Oh,
you
no.
were, and you've
Right.
had many businesses with this.
Oh yes.
And
Yes.
now
Yes.
you have a little varied past. You're an Oklahoma girl, aren't you?
I am.
Okay.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah. And I
Okay.
also lived in a small town outside of Tulsa, which was Broken Arrow.
Okay.
So I have a lot of memories from there, a lot of country, it's a whole different type of land there. And
and that's stuff you like now. And I see you've painted a lot of barns and country scenes, and it's got to stem back to childhood somehow, I think.
I think so too,
Yeah,
because people ask me, when they see my artwork at shows or at Inman's or wherever it might be, different places, people get to know me and they ask me, and they just kind of assume that I grew up on a farm, and I didn't. I was always been in a city or a small town, And I did not grow up on a farm. But I've always had that yearning to paint things like that, the barns, the landscape, the florals and things like that. And then, like Lori said earlier, I do paint some animals. Now I do mine in more of an impressionistic style, for myself.
Right.
The realism, I don't have the patience for that.
And I would even call some of your work whimsical, like some of the animals.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They're so whimsical and fun, and I love them. And your color, you have a very distinct color palette with your paintings. And I really, in all the years that I've known you, it really hasn't changed any. You have stuck with that. That has been your signature. Yeah.
That seems to be what I drift towards, and even, how we venture out and maybe try new things or new techniques or whatever, just growth for us as an artist. I still come back to that pretty close to the same palette. I think I'm going to mix it up some, right? But it usually comes back.
It always goes back.
Yeah. Recently you've been mentioning how you want to use brighter colors. Tell us about that.
Right. And I've added a little bit, but not too bright, because that's just not me, not the real modern, that's not myself. So, but it's still fun to paint, and I've painted some like that. But I still go back to what I think is in.
And you have quite a following.
I do.
Yeah. You have quite a following, and I think that they have come to, that's what they love about your art, is not only the subject matter and how you paint, but the color palette, because it's a very pleasing color palette. It's very calm and serene. There's really nothing gaudy. I don't think I've ever seen you paint a gaudy painting.
Yeah.
I've painted lots of gaudy paintings because I love the bright colors. So, and, kind of garish, but no, yours are always very calm and relaxing. And that's one of the things I really love about your art. And I think that's a lot what other people like in it too, because they want that calm feeling to be in their home or wherever they hang that.
Yes. I have to agree with you, because that's what I get told most. It is
really? Yeah.
They get a peaceful feeling, and even with the whimsical animals, they don't really necessarily get a peaceful feeling, but it makes them smile. They enjoy to smile at the art and enjoy it on the walls. And so it's kind of you're right. It's kind of a whimsical. I have some that's whimsical and it makes people smile. And then I have the others that's kind of a more peaceful.
And another thing, I think, now I want to bring up too, if you're listening to the podcast, we have a YouTube video of this conversation as well. And you can see Vicki's paintings behind her, a couple of them, or three of them actually. And another thing that we haven't really touched on is you have a very nostalgic feel to your paintings. And I think it just kind of goes right along with a serene and a good feeling that puts off, good old days kind of feeling,
It is and like I say, I don't plan that. It just kind of is something that's within each one of us. We're all a little bit different. We're all unique, and that's just something that kind of spills out on the canvas from me.
I think we have to stay true to ourselves, and I think you're great at doing that.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes.
Excellent at that. Yeah. And you help us stay true to ourselves, because I know that I'll start scampering off in some weird thing, and you'll tell me, now, Jamie, you've got all those gardens. What are you doing? And you're right. But you're always right, Vicki. I mean, I always appreciate the advice from both of you, actually, because it's just observations, and a lot of times it's hard to see from the inside. If you're a little on the outside and you see what I'm doing, maybe I might not notice it, but you guys, and that's why I think we all just are such good friends, because we can tell each other things that might not be what we always want to hear sometimes, but we know that it's said with love, and we said that a lot, said with love. But, we can talk to each other like that. I think that's, you guys are my community.
Right.
Yeah. Same here.
We had one of our first episodes. We talked about community, having an art community, and you guys are it. You're my community. Now there's some there's a lot of artists in the Evansville area, and
Right.
we're all friends with a lot of them. But this three right here,
Yes.
we're tight.
Yeah, we talk almost every day on Marco Polo.
Right.
We've mentioned that
Yeah,
before.
Yeah. We love our Marco Polo.
It is so yes, it is so beneficial. Does that help you, Vicki? Since we're talking about overwhelm, let's kind of touch on that. So you started off with toll painting, which I think I've heard you say that before. To me, that's just like when that came out, that was so mesmerizing to watch people do that, create those out of strokes, that one stroke stuff.
Right.
I just thought it was cool. So you taught that, and then you were also like a preschool teacher, right? Am I correct in that?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. And you did that for a long time.
For years. Oh, over 35 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is the creative job right there.
It was
my gosh. You have to be extremely creative to wrangle those those little guys. So
that's right. Yes. Over 35 years, I was in early childhood, and I varied between going into homes and then also as a classroom. Yes, that brings all kinds of experiences.
Oh, I can imagine. And we've heard a few of those stories. Yeah, we've heard a few. We won't share any of those today.
No.
That may be another show.
Yeah.
But because of that, though, I love to teach children too.
Yeah.
And now I have some classes for individuals, for children and adults. And then, like Lori said earlier, groups too. So it has given me the experience with the children also to know how to teach, and how to work with them.
Yeah.
And this year, well, I did it last year too, but I've done it for several years actually, but I'm just finishing up a clay workshop with a school here in Evansville. It's several schools, but we're all meeting in one certain school. And it's a clay workshop, and it's for the teachers so that they can help the children. So it's That's just incredible. A domino effect, If I can help the teachers learn a few tips and tricks and things that they can take into the classroom, then it's a win-win situation for everyone.
Oh, yeah. And Lord knows we need all the creativity and arts we can in the schools, because they have just pulled that out, haven't they? It's really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, that's why
Go ahead.
That's why I'm so glad to see them pull you in to do some of that for those teachers.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why you're teaching children in your home, or sometimes you go to their house, because that's lacking in the schools.
It is.
And the parents and the grandparents, they see that and they want that for their kids. And so and when you said you've done classes, let's talk about how impressive that is, because Lori and I just can't even imagine teaching. Would you have like 90 something people?
And 92. The largest one has been 92 participants.
That's some overwhelm right there.
That is overwhelm. Yeah. But you handle it beautifully. I mean, you're such a great teacher.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It takes a lot of planning. You can imagine,
Yeah. And well, you're very good at that because you're organized. And I think that's the key.
That actually is one of my strengths, now there's certain days that I don't think it is, but most of the time when you've got a event that you're doing and it's that large, you better be a little bit organized, and the way I do that,
right.
I'm a list person, I'm no fashion paper. And you girls know, though, sometimes
you make a list on your desk. Especially when it's
sometimes
on your
I forget where my list went.
Yeah.
But I'm a planner. I have to have a planner too.
Me too.
And so I also, one thing that helps me is I have a little notebook in my purse. So if I'm with Tim, my husband, and we're doctor's appointments or down the road, just, driving or whatever, things, how things kind of pop in our minds at different times. And so I have a notebook in my purse that I can pull out to think of things. And I have one in my bedside table, because
I
have one there with a pen and stuff. And so, things happen in the middle of the night.
They do. And they don't let you sleep, do they?
That's right.
Well,
Yeah, when I don't sleep, honestly, that is one of the best times I have for planning. I mean, it's not good on the body, but it's I lay
right.
there, it's
Yeah.
quiet, everybody else is sleeping, and it's a good time to kind of think about things. So that's the times when I
Yeah.
when I have a large event or anytime, things come to my mind that I jot it down then.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um,
Instead of paper and pencil, I always get out my phone if I wake up and think of something, which is probably the worst
mhm.
thing you can do. That
Right.
light coming from your
The blue
phone,
light. Right.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
had blue blockers, it would be okay.
Uh-huh.
That's
Right.
what they
Uh-huh.
say, at least. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I try not to look at my phone at night like that
Mhm.
because
I do too.
I've heard that and wait, Lord knows we don't want to have to deal with any more insomnia than what we already are dealing
Right.
with at this age,
Right.
right?
Exactly. And
Right.
sometimes I just go back in the studio. If I can't
Yeah.
sleep, I just come in here and I work,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
paint. I've always said I need to do some type of insomnia paintings, and I haven't started
Yeah,
that.
we talked
Yeah, you
about
need to
that.
do
Yes.
that.
I'll have to do that soon.
So when you retired from your preschool teaching job, and then tell us what you did after that.
Well, I retired a few years ago. I took an early retirement, and
Mhm.
like I said, I was I was doing that for over 35 years. So it was kind of time for me to get out of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But one thing that always stuck with me is while I was working, several teachers would come into my classroom and at various times, and they would ask, and I would start noticing that, what's good paints to use, or what's good brushes to use, or how do I varnish, or what varnish do I buy, or just different things like that. And that over the years has kind of built up and been in the back of my mind. And I thought, we have a lot of education, we go to school for early childhood, but there's very, very little art or anything in that. And I worked with a larger daycare here in Evansville, and we had what was called Reggio Emilia, and we worked with them. That's from Italy. It's a class for children over in Italy, that's a school actually, and they are high in the arts. They build the arts up. So they work with clay, they work with paint, they work with weaving and fabric and all kinds of things. And so I had that experience also. So when I did retire, I thought, I've got a lot of experience in that. And I knew there was other teachers or just adults, in general, that would like to have some of that information, would like to be exposed with that. So
you were
after
already building another business in the
yes,
back of your
yes.
head, preparing for this
Right.
early retirement.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
so
after I
smart.
retired, I just kind of started my own art business. But I still paint for people too, and I paint my own, original art, and I sell them too. But I teach also. So that's kind of
Now, when did I know that you used to do, was it murals or
I
faux
did.
finishing?
Mm-hmm.
It never ends. What else? What haven't you done, Vicki?
And painting
So
houses. Didn't you paint
paint.
houses too?
I did. I
Oh
did.
my gosh.
Several years ago, I did the decorative painting, the faux painting.
That was
Remember,
huge. That was
remember that
hugely in
was
style.
huge.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that entailed a lot of ladder climbing, scaffolding, and I work by myself. I
Yeah,
didn't have
that's
anybody
hard
work
on your
with me.
body. And now
It was,
Now,
yes.
nobody knows this, but all three of us are short, but Vicky's the shortest one. And so here's this tiny little woman
Yeah.
doing these gigantic walls. You have got so much spunk, Vicky. I mean, you just work circles around me and Lori as far as like doing stuff. I'm
Right.
always amazed at
I
the
always
stuff
wanted
you
to be
accomplish.
spunky.
I mean, Lori, you get a lot of stuff done too. Well, you
Oh,
are.
yeah.
What didn't you say one time that your grandma, she was a big influence in your life, wasn't
Yes.
she? Was it your
Yes.
grandma? Yeah. Yeah. And
Yes.
she was always a little spunky little Spitfire Indian woman,
Yes.
right?
I called her Nana, and then I had to
Yeah.
carry on the tradition because I'm a Nana.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Oh,
she was short. She wasn't, I don't think, as short as I was, and just a little tiny woman.
Yeah.
And she was spunky. Yes.
Well,
So
you got that gene. Yeah.
uh,
I got the lazy gene.
well, I have my days.
well, yeah, because eventually this started to take a toll on your body, didn't it?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then and over were you at what point did you start to you have so much going on now, even still you have your hand in all kinds of things. You sell your paintings, you do these markets in the summer. You've recently slowed down on the markets. You do this teaching, you do this team building stuff. You teach sisters art class once a week. You
Yes.
you are so busy. I mean, this is more than full time. It feels like to me um, that you're doing. So,
Yeah.
at what point did you? I mean, your body just started to tell you, "Hey, this is a little much, isn't it?"
Yes.
Or did you start feeling stress ahead of time? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I don't mind, because if it will help somebody else, that would be
Yeah.
great. About 11 years ago, actually, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And if anybody knows much about autoimmune, most of the time, if you get one, you get several. And so it's progressed through the years. And so this last couple of years, it has really progressed a little bit more, meaning that I have a couple more autoimmune illnesses, and they can rear their ugly head at different days. Some days are great,
Right.
And if I overwork myself, and that means long hours or even physically, it'll play a toll on me, and it does everybody. But with me, it's a little bit different. It takes me a little bit longer to rebound from that, and so it is it can be a dandy on some days,
Right. Right. And
so
Lori and I have been witness to that. So
right.
Yeah.
we see you have good days and bad days. And I
Right.
mean, we all do, but it's
Yes.
hitting you a lot
Yes.
harder, it seems. But
And
you're extremely busy for all these challenges that you're going through. And Lori and I are constantly trying to encourage you to slow down
Yeah.
because we want you around.
And so's
for
my
a long
husband,
time.
Tim.
Yeah.
Tim does the same thing. And I am learning that. It's hard. I've always been one that's been very busy.
Yeah.
And I don't sit still very often. And so, I'm trying to learn that myself,
Yeah.
and I need to, and I am, and
Yeah.
and you girls help me too.
Yeah. And you're very productive. I mean, you're not just busy, you're productive. You come up with stuff and you accomplish it, you finish it. So, what are some of the things that you noticed that 10 or 11 years ago when this started happening to you? What was going on in your life at that time? What were you doing? Because I don't believe that we knew each other back then. The three of us, we've known each other for what, about 5 or 6 years now?
Yeah, probably about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say so.
Well, Vicki, what were you doing whenever this reared its ugly head?
Well, you know what? With autoimmune disease, most of the time people will agree, and doctors will agree, it is a lot of times you get that from stress. A lot of times, or childhood stress and trauma. There's a whole lot of reasons that you can get this. With mine, that's it. I know that's what's caused it, and you can't change the past.
No.
You just got to keep on going and moving on, and that's what, on my good days, that's why I get quite a bit done. Because when I am learning that when I feel good, my body feels good, then I can get quite a bit accomplished. And I'm learning on those other days to rest, just rest. My body, my soul needs it. That's just what happens.
Yeah. And I've noticed that you've taught me a lot about it, because me being someone who, thankfully I don't have autoimmune disease, knock on wood, but it is one of those things that people will look at you and they don't see anything wrong. Kind of the same, Lori, as the mental illness, like depression and stuff. People, well, what's wrong with you? There's nothing, I don't see anything wrong with you, so it can be, I would think that would be very challenging to deal with that just in itself, with people not believing you, and they don't understand why you can't move basically, because your body is just like saying, no, not today.
You're right. I mean, it is, a lot of people don't understand it. Well, I didn't understand it. You get a diagnosis, and then 6 months later you get another one, and you might get another one. And you have to be your own advocate. You have to do your own research. Now, luckily I have got good doctors, and that I trust, but that's been a journey in itself too, but I tell you what, the art keeps me going. My painting keeps me going. So when I do have those rough days, I can't usually turn it off. So if I'm not actually physically painting or doing something, I'm still planning. I'm thinking about inspiration for the next painting or something. So that's what keeps me going. Well, keeps me focused, and that helps me, just like with Lori, the painting helps you so much. And it's
well, I think that Lori's going to have to show you how she does her digital painting, and you're going to have to get yourself a tablet, and then those days that are down for you, because I know you sit, you have to rest. It's not like back in bed, but you need to rest. You sit in your recliner, or just relax, and that would be a great way to get that productiveness or busyness onto something. You're still creating, because you can't necessarily sit in your studio when you're feeling like that, or stand and paint or whatever.
I agree. That's a great idea, Jamie.
What other things have you found that helps you manage this? Because I imagine this is stressful, having just these challenges with your health. I know that I mentioned the meditation app to you, and I forgot the name of it. Do you remember?
It is called
with our listeners.
Insight Timer, I believe.
Yes. And I was given that recommendation by a friend of mine, and you all know him, Tom, of Beach Tree Pottery. Tom, I'm going to massacre his last name. Winscat, I think is his last name. Tom Winscat. He's a potter. He's the one that told me about it. And he's big into meditation. So that was the only, and I've done it a time or two, but unfortunately I have not kept up with that. My gardening is my meditation. But so when you tried it, how did that make you? Can you talk a little bit about when you first tried it?
Yes, there's two of them that I use. You shared with me about the Insight Timer. There's a free and a paid version, like most apps are. The other one I use, and I had already had that, was called Calm. And there again, it's free and paid, I did go ahead and on the Calm one a few months ago, and did pay for the year on it, because it opened up so much more, how the apps are. But I am learning, girls, I'm in a work in progress, right? So I'm trying to teach myself, because like I said, I've always just busy, all the time, all my life. And so now it's time to rest a little bit more, not give up what I love.
Yeah, we're waiting to see that, aren't we, Lori?
Yeah. We keep reminding her. We keep reminding you, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get these little messages from you girls.
Thought you were going to slow down.
I thought you were.
And next thing we know, she's got a new student.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm going to do it on the same day I drive out to teach the sisters. She teaches 2 classes. I hope it's okay to talk about that. Sure. I won't mention any names or anything. 2 classes in one day to these sisters in a home, right? They're in a is it a retirement home? Is that what it would be called? Yeah. And it's, it's a pretty good little drive for you. And then she started taking on a very young student. And then she has, do you do anything else that day?
Not that day.
Okay.
That's it. That's pretty well. I try to limit it to that.
Vicki's busy 24/7, it seems.
And I give classes also at a local store here, cute home decor, the farmhouse.
Yes.
And so I give evening classes there.
Yeah.
Probably once, if not twice a month, depends on.
And that's the one that's having the markets. We'll give them a little shout out.
Yes.
I'll mention them in the show notes.
Okay, good.
Because she's been very good to you, hasn't she?
She has.
Kirsten, is that her name?
Kirsten.
Yeah.
Kirsten.
Kirsten, yeah.
Her and her husband.
The farmhouse?
Yes, the farmhouse. Yes. Her and her husband are very sweet people. And she has several staff that works for her too. They're all really good to work with. And I approached her a few years ago, actually, about if she had anybody that gave classes. I mean, it's a home decor. It's a really cute place. And she's constantly changing it up and bringing new items in. And she did not have anybody that gave any art classes. So that was the door right there that opened. And we just kind of clicked, and it went good.
Well, that's good advice to our listeners and artists that are looking for extra opportunities to get your name out there and to earn another income revenue source.
Right.
That was, and you just have to take yourself there and try it, don't you?
Yeah.
All they can say is no. That's all they can say. All they can say is no.
And Vicki's really good at that.
Yes, yeah.
Approaching
cold calling.
Like the one in Kentucky.
Right.
Yes, I forgot about that one.
Ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got to do that. It's a good thing. When maybe your sales aren't on your own original art is not where you want it to be for the month or whatever, and you just kind of want to boost your income. It is a good thing to do. I mean, that's true. All they can say is no,
right.
Most everybody is going to be friendly, and I've never ran into anybody that, was ugly or anything. They've always either that they didn't have the room there, or they really weren't interested at the time, or anything like that. But it's all worked out pretty good. And you just have to be bold. As I said, you got to pull up your big girl panties and go knock on the door.
Yeah. And you're good, Vicki. You're very good at seeing the need and the opportunity, and I am just think that's amazing, because you're always looking for those opportunities, and you jump on them. I'm just always so impressed with that, and I try to be more like Vicki.
Well, we all teach each other, right? We all have different things to give and share, and you guys help me so much too. I mean, you guys are great friends, and I appreciate it, and thank you for having me on here today too.
Oh, well,
thank you guys.
This has been great. Yeah, and we hope to have you back for other conversations too. This is just a tip of the iceberg, and if you had one tip, Vicki, to give to a listener that is feeling overwhelmed themselves, what's the best thing that you would tell? And it doesn't have to be just one, but what's the best thing you would tell someone?
I would say probably priorities. Take a look at your priorities. And your vision, your priorities and your vision. What exactly are you wanting to do? What can you take off the list? What can you mark off the list? I'm the kind of person that if my list gets too long, I get anxious. I do. Some people, it doesn't matter, but for me, I better be checking off something,
Yeah. And that adds more stress to you.
It does. And so I like to keep my list small. I try to, of my to-do list. So I just think priorities, get because there's so many hours in a day, right? And then we have families. Some of us still have children at home, and I have more time now, of course, than I ever have. My kids have grown. I've got grandkids, and they're, in schools and stuff. So I don't have any young ones here, at home anymore. So it's just my husband and I. So it's kind of a different, different path in life you go through. So now I have the time that I can kind of see what I really want to do, and look at my priorities and kind of focus on that. You can get too much. You can get, too many things you want to do.
Well, that's some great advice, Vicki. I think it's really important to have your priorities straight. This has been a good episode. Do you have anything else? Yeah, very good. Do you have anything else that maybe we didn't touch on yet that you wanted to add?
Well, I just think it's important to kind of look at your own lives and what all you have, that your goals are, and just kind of take a step back sometimes, just like we do at a painting. When you're painting, you kind of have to look back and step back a few steps and kind of look at the whole picture. So in my case, I try to do that, and I'm learning to do it more often.
Right,
and I think
right. That's good advice. Yeah, that's really good advice. Taking a step back.
Yes.
Because overwhelm can turn into burnout very
It sure
quickly.
can.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a difference. There's a big difference. So, overwhelm, you're feeling stressed, but you're not necessarily burned out yet.
Right. Right. Yes.
So I just wanted to say that you don't feel burned out, do you, Vicki? I mean, you're still going strong, right? It's just you're starting to control it now before it gets to that point.
Exactly, because I love what I do, of course. And no, I'm not burnt out. I just know with my body and my illness, I need to take that step back sometimes, and that's why I kind of suggest that to everybody. If because you might not even have any health issues, you might be healthy as can be, but everybody needs to take that time for yourself and not get so overwhelmed, because it's so easy to do that. So easy to get overwhelmed.
And not
yes,
only
it is.
Yeah. And not only stepping back, but sometimes it's good to take cues from your friends too. And the ones who say, "Hey, do you need to slow down a little bit?"
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, ladies. I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you're going to take on another student.
Yeah. Because like Jamie said earlier, sometimes it's hard to see things for ourselves. Sometimes
It is.
we have to have another person look at our lives and kind of they see things we don't see.
Right. That's true. Very true. And I have you girls to help me with that. And I appreciate that. Just not only do we get together and talk, well, we talk all things art, right? So, and that has to be with our own personal lives and our health and whatever is in our lives going on. We help each other with that. So I appreciate you. Both
we
of you.
appreciate you. I appreciate both
we
of
do.
you.
Yeah. So, Vicki, let's say we have somebody in California who wants to take a class with you. Is that possible?
Well, I do travel, Lori, but I don't go that far. So I try to stay pretty local, maybe a couple of neighboring towns, but and like I said, some people come here. I have a small studio, so I don't have a large room, and but I appreciate my studio. But it's not like I have a big group. So sometimes they might not want me to come to their home either, or it's not accessible for them to come here. So we do a Zoom. And that works well. I can see them just like we are, and we can, I can see what they're doing. They can show me, and I can show them the steps that they need to take. And so that works really well too.
So someone in California really could take a class with you then.
Yes, they could.
All right.
Saves me a lot of travel time. Yes.
Yes. Technology is a wonderful thing.
Well, it is a wonderful thing, but I'm one of the older ones, and so you girls have taught me a lot about that technology.
Well,
sometimes it has
ran with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but you ran with it. Vicki's the first one that got the lights, and she had her little hat, and she was doing these videos all the time. She went through. Well, it was about
like
Corona
the live
time.
Queen.
Yes, during COVID. She was doing. You were doing videos all the time. You were even giving away free lessons
tutorials
on your Facebook page. Yes, yes.
Oh yeah.
I did that all the time, and I've kind of got a little away from that now because I'm doing more in person or group classes, of course, in painting, painting myself. So, but I still have that kind of itch to do one every once in a while, especially for like Mother's Day or, I don't know, different seasons, spring or summer, you always think of these different things, and people like to paint and so but I haven't done one in a while, but I did lots of them. Yes.
If you don't follow Vicki on Facebook, we encourage you to do that. Is it Vicki Wilson Art? Isn't that what your Facebook page is?
Yes, there is a Jean, Vicki Jean Wilson Art.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
But you should follow her, definitely. Like she said, every once in a while she does lives, and she is so good at those. She is so natural and just they're so good.
and a great teacher. And what an incentive to follow you, right? Because you are very giving. You're very giving with the information that you offer for even for non-artists, like people that just want to paint. And I just love it whenever you have these sometimes these impromptu, well, you let people know, which is another good reason to join Vicki's newsletter. She gives you a heads up when if she knows she's planning one of these.
Yes.
And there's been times that like mother and daughter have done it together, and then they'll post on your Facebook page what they've painted. I just love seeing that.
I do too. Yeah.
That's the joy. That's what brings me joy. I love to see somebody who's maybe, and I have a variety, of students. I have some that have, maybe dabbled a little bit. And then I have some that have never even picked up a paintbrush. So there's a wide range there, but I really do enjoy the ones who are eager to learn, and are willing to take the time to do that. And I enjoy when they create something, because you can guarantee that out of a larger group, probably at least half, if not more of them, probably 3/4 of that group, they will say they can't draw a stick figure. We all heard that, right? And but when you go and you teach, and then you see when they get finished and that smile, that means it all. That just means it all.
Now, Vicki, did you mention what mediums you teach? Did we cover that?
We haven't yet, but and some of this is based when I taught for over 35 years. So I do beginning clay classes. This is what I'm doing with the EVSC school district this time. And we've had 5 sessions with 2 classes each day. And that's the beginning clay. But most of it is acrylic painting and watercolor. That's the 3 that I do. And I do occasional, like the paint parties. That's kind of fun. That's just kind of, there's really no stress at all in that. They're there for a good time. They have their friends over. I've done bachelorette parties, and they just want something to do. They can join that group together, and have something fun. And so those are always really fun too.
Oh yeah.
And also I like the little the classes that you have that are not like traditional on paper or can. You had these little trinket boxes. Those are so cute. Those I can't remember what they were, but you painted in those, and then you did that glass.
Yes.
Epoxy glass.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're very well rounded. You offer a lot of fun activities for people to do these, like we call them paint parties, but really they're art parties, because you're doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Because I do, I think everybody kind of knows the term paint parties, and you kind of know what that is. But you're exactly right, Jamie, because it's far more than a paint party, where you do exactly what that person does. Now, I can do that, of course, but I always encourage them to that. And I say, you are your own artist. This canvas, you are the artist of that canvas or wood or whatever we're working on. And I want you to interject your ideas. You can follow along with me, and I will encourage you, though, to branch out and kind of make that flower your own or whatever it is,
I think you're really great at that.
Spin on things, they need to put their own spin on things. That gives them that more personal feel, they just,
and it gives them confidence.
Yes, exactly. Confidence. And especially when they get that done, and they think they weren't going to be able to do it. That means a lot. That means so much. And there in turn, hopefully they share with somebody else. Right. And enjoy it.
So Vicki, since you teach a lot of beginners in your classes, what is the one tip you could give a new student?
I think the one main one is don't be fearful. A lot of people, especially if they are in a group setting, they worry about painting how I paint. They want theirs to look, what I've done, or their sister sitting next to them, or whoever's next to them. So I want them to just explore the art, whatever it is, whether it's acrylic or watercolor or whatever it is, and just have fun with it. Try to get rid of that fear that you're not good enough, that you aren't able to do it. That's probably, and that's easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
But after they get that one painting done or whatever it is that we're working on, then it gives them a boost. They feel more confident, and that will just only grow.
Right. And I always try to encourage people. My grandma, she always had the best advice, my dad's mom. And she would always say, if everyone, because sometimes Dad and I'll talk about, people being so different. And, he's old school, he's 75. So he could, how that, how they can be. And I'll say, and I'll bring up what Grandma said. And she said, well, if we were all alike, what a boring world this would be. Exactly. So it translates to art. And we want to be individuals with our artwork, especially. And I think that as artists, we strive for that, finding your style and all that. Exactly. We strive for that the most. Like, we don't want to paint like each other. We want to be ourselves. Right. And so I think that when I'm teaching, that's what I try to convey. Be yourself. Just be yourself. And I think you're really good at that, Vicki. Yeah. Really good.
Yeah.
I think it's important. It's very important for them to do that, because anybody can imitate, somebody else's work, or style, but it comes from in here, and just like we talked earlier about my color palette, every time I try to venture off a little bit, explore something else different, I usually come back, always to something that makes me who I am, and we all do that. So I want to encourage that in other people too.
And finding your own style and being your own individual is such a journey, isn't it? I mean, I know, well, I haven't been painting as long as a lot of people have, but I mean, I know people who have been painting 30 years, their style is evolving.
Yes. And when you first kind of start out, I feel like probably most artists maybe kind of explore different mediums, add different things here and there, to at least that's what I did, kind of find your own little path. But a few years ago, I started working with palette knives, and that changed for me. Not every painting is with a palette knife, but I love texture. I love the texture, whether it's done with a palette knife and mediums or other means to create texture. I love that in painting. So when I started working with that more and exploring that a little bit more, that seems to be my love. That's what I enjoy. But everybody has to find that, and it does take a while.
I don't think it's something you can rush either. No, it just naturally occurs over time. That could be a whole nother episode.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Lori. Write that
down. Finding your style.
That's right.
Well, wow, the time has just flown by. This has been so fun, Vicki. It's been really, I've really enjoyed having you on here. And I'm sure the listeners are enjoying it as well. So we'd like to ask you back if you're willing to come back to do some more.
Well, I would love to. I think you guys are doing a wonderful job. I'm so proud of both of you for doing this. And
thank you.
You guys are so good at this. So I appreciate you asking me. And I hope that we kind of inspired somebody or several people with what we said today. So thank you for asking again.
And giving, that's wonderful. And giving people the courage, because, you touched on some pretty personal stuff, with the autoimmune stuff. And I think that is empowering for people to hear that. So thank you so much for being honest and sharing and being vulnerable. It's not easy to talk about stuff like that sometimes. because, in society, it's getting better, but society views sometimes, or old society used to view that as a weakness. But I think now it's becoming easier to talk about stuff like that. And our weaknesses become ways for us to connect because we're all just human, right? And the human is not perfect.
No, and we all have stories. Yeah, we all have stories to tell. And, that's my story. So, and as I get older, I'm more open to telling that because the idea is to share it and it might help somebody.
It does. I'm sure I know this is going to help someone that listens. The right person is going to hear this and it's going to encourage them to go forward with whatever creative endeavor they've got going on. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Vicki.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, I will wrap this up and do have something special to show today. I got my tote bag in for the merchandise that we're offering now. And isn't that cool? You guys, I love it.
I love it. I love it.
We offer, if you're listening to this, you have to jump on over to either our social media or on YouTube and see. I'm holding a tote bag that's got the Creative Type podcast logo on there, but it's tweaked a little bit. It's got Creative Type Artist, and you can get your own and support the show. They're not very expensive and they're really nice. It's black inside. It's printed on both sides, and we have aprons as well. So find everything about Vicki in our show notes and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram, and email us at creativetypepodcast@gmail.com if you have any suggestions for the show. We'd love to have a review. If you do, we like to give shout outs and for show ideas as well. A 5-star review. Yes. If you would share the show, that means so much to us. It helps other people find us. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah,
thanks, Vicki, for coming.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.